FNAF 2. This is a game that was made over a decade ago, and I'm sure needs no introduction. Given how passionate the FNAF fan game scene is, it was only a matter of time before this game was redone in some sort of way. So, introducing the star of today's video. Wait, this is the wrong FNAF remake. Hold up. Here we go. This is FNAF Rewritten 87, a fan-made recreation of FNAF 2 that I promise is completely different from what you remember FNAF 2 being. So join me as we cover everything in FNAF Rewritten 87, from night 1 to the secret minigames all the way down to the final cutscene. This game gets really deep, so make sure to stick around to the end. But without further ado, let's get started. Off rip, we instantly get thrown into a cutscene where we're face to face with none other than William Afton himself, and he tells us to follow the yellow bunny. Now, I really don't want to, but I guess we don't have a choice, right? Now, as we walk deeper and deeper into the darkness, we get to follow these lights with all these credits rolling by us. But eventually, after enough walking, we'll approach the staff-only room. After pulling up to the door, it gets opened for us, and it reveals the Freddy animatronic. And if we walk in, well, I'll just let you imagine the rest. Then we cut to Afton finishing the job by putting the Freddy head on the animatronic, leaving us in complete darkness. Well, that's a pretty dark way to start the game. Anyway, peep the animatronic performance. Hey! Here, we get to take a look at all the old animatronic designs and how a performance would look like in the old restaurant. But suddenly, all the footage freezes and the game explains that this restaurant would eventually be shutting down. In its place, a new restaurant would open full of a bunch of new remodeled animatronics, and Freddy's would have a grand reopening. Of course, they're gonna need a night guard for this shift, and you've probably already guessed who that could be. So, here we are in the new and improved pizzeria, aka the FNAF 2 location, where we actually get to free roam a little bit before the night starts. But first, let's get the obvious out the way. The toy animatronic designs in this game are slightly different too, just like the Generation 1 animatronics. Freddy here got him some pants, Bonnie got a whole varsity jacket on and some jeans. I'm pretty sure they're jeans, because the color of the jeans is actually slightly darker than his actual foot, so we're gonna call them jeans for now. And Toy Chica has her little hair with a shirt and some shorts. Now, if we continue exploring, we'll eventually end up in the arcade, where we'll actually find the GOAT, Candy Cadet, who in this game can actually talk. But he claims he needs fast coins to tell a story at the moment, and we don't really have any. So let's put a pin in it for now and save it for later, and head over to the ringing phone, which is of course placed in the office, where we'll finally begin the first night. So after actually beginning the shift, we'll be stripped from our free roam capabilities, and we're stuck in this chair until 6 AM rolls around. We can shine our light down the middle hallway and down both the left and right vents. We can also, of course, throw the empty Freddy head on. I mean, come on, we can't have FNAF 2 without a Freddy head, right? We do also have a camera system for this pizzeria. All of these cameras are numbered, and just like OG FNAF 2, there are certain ones that are really important to us. Off rip, the puppet is alive, and the puppet sits on camera 2. So on cam 2, there's this little present and a bar next to it. This is the puppet's timer, and the present is the button to wind the box up. So throughout the night, we just have to make sure that we keep this music box wound and we'll be good. Also, if you notice, next to this timer is also a flashlight button. And fortunately for us, this flashlight camera isn't just cosmetic in this game. Let's talk about Toy Freddy real quick. Toy Freddy likes to target multiple breaker boxes around the pizzeria. On the cameras, there are a couple of them that have this little green circle in them. And these are the cameras that actually have breaker boxes. So throughout the night, Toy Freddy will do his little laugh. And when this happens, we have to search around all the different breaker box cameras to find him. When we do eventually find him, we have to spam our flashlight to make sure he stops playing around with our power. If there comes a point where you can't find Toy Freddy or just can't deal with him in time, then he'll steal the building's power and force us to repair it.
Freddy's gonna crease your Jordans? No, bruh. That's like the last thing I need him to... I don't even know what's going on.
Now, losing the building power isn't the end of the world because it only makes us unable to access other cameras until the breaker is fixed, which is really annoying considering we need these cameras to make sure the puppet's music box is wound. But luckily, repairing the breaker is really easy. When the power goes out, on the cameras, we'll find the broken breaker on our screen. And all we have to do is just flip all the switches in the correct breaker until they're all green. After doing all of this, the power will turn back on and we can continue our night as usual. Now, let's get to Toy Chica and Toy Bonnie, who basically functions identically to each other. First, let's do Chica. Throughout the night, she'll slowly make her way over to your left vent. Then, she'll crawl all the way into your office and peek in at us. And to make sure she doesn't kill us, we do of course just have to throw our mask on. Then Chica will proceed to give us the meanest stare down of all time. But notice that while Chica is attacking us, she does still have her beacon eyes, unlike an OG FNAF 2. I'm sure this won't change later on. Anyway, Bonnie functions practically the exact same as Chica, but instead of the left vent, he'll be in the right vent this time. And just like Chica, after the stare down, the lights will go in and out for a little bit, and then they'll be gone. And with that, we're officially done with every animatronic introduced in night 1. All things considered, this night is pretty easy. We just have to make sure that Toy Freddy doesn't straight strip our power from us and keep that music box wound. But with that, let's move on to night 2.
Nice.
Before we move on to the next night, we have ourselves a post-night cutscene. And here, we can see the old FNAF 1 location where we was just watching the performance at. To our left, we can see Chica, and to our right, we can see Bonnie. And of course, that means we're playing as Freddy, the same one that the Golden Bunny had stuffed us into at the very beginning of the game. Eventually though, after a lot of silence, we get confronted by the puppet, who kinda just chills there staring into our souls for a little bit. Then the curtains close over the puppet, and we fade to black. So let's actually move on to night 2 now. Starting night 2, we do get thrown back into the pizzeria, but this time we enter through the back door. And just like last night, we have to make our way over to the office so we could then begin the night. But this had got me thinking, why do we have these super short free roaming sections when the actual night is just a stationary FNAF night? And while this is true that all of these nights will end up being stationary, the free roam does have its uses. I mean, you can actually appreciate all the effort that went into making some of these party rooms. But the real answer is we may or may not have a free roam section later on. Yeah, a little bit of a tease, whatever. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves here, and let's actually begin night 2. Now for this night, we do of course have some new animatronics active for us to deal with. And what are the odds that it's actually both of the Foxy animatronics active tonight? So let's start off with Withered Foxy, whose mechanic you could probably guess at this point. Throughout the night, Withered Foxy will show up in the hallway in front of us. The mask doesn't work on him though, and to get rid of him, we have to spam our flashlight on him. After being blinded for like the 40 millionth time, Foxy will leave and try again at a later point in the night. Alright, now let's tackle the beast that is Mangle. Now in this game, Mangle's mechanics are entirely unique. They'll slowly approach our office from the main hallway, and after getting closer and closer, they'll finally crawl into the office.
When you get to your age, your hands start to turn into dust. Excuse the fuck out of me.
So around the office, there are multiple TVs placed around, which I initially thought was just here to make the office look more distinct from the OG FNAF 2 office. But it turns out, when Mangle climbs into the office, they'll take full control of these TVs, flashing images of both Mangle and the puppet on them while they chill on the ceiling just waiting. Eventually, all the TVs will cut out, leaving us in complete silence while Mangle hangs down ready to attack us. As soon as we see all the TVs cut off, we need to throw our mask on. Because if we don't do so in time, well, then we might have a new Bite of 87 victim.
Was that the Bite of 80?
But after holding our mask on for a little bit, Mangle will rise back to the ceiling to start the whole process again. Now, it doesn't stay like this forever, because Mangle will only force you to throw on the Freddy head twice before eventually resetting to their starting position. And what a night this was. I wish somebody could have warned me before throwing me straight into a Mangle mini-boss on night 2 of all nights. But like, once you understand how to deal with it, then we can fly through the rest of this night as normal. So with that, let's not waste any more time and head over to the next night. Did I say next night? I meant next cutscene. Of course. Yeah, this cutscene is basically the same as the last one, but instead this time around, the puppet has zero, and I mean zero, sense of personal space. But aside from that, it's basically the exact same cutscene. So just like the last time, the curtains close in our face and we get booted out the cutscene. So let's just get started with the next night. So now we're back in the pizzeria for our next shift. Same old, let's make our way over to the office and get the night started. As per usual at this point, we do have some new animatronics active on this night. This time, it'll be Withered Bonnie and Withered Chica. And luckily, for my sake at least, they function quite literally the exact same way. So throughout the night, they'll roll up in the middle hallway and kinda just stand there. But after what feels like a random amount of time, they'll walk into the office to press us. You already know the vibes at this point. Just throw your mask on and you'll be safe. I don't want to just gloss over this though. Like, look at them. This stare down they give you is genuinely unforgettable. Like, look at Chica's. This one is literally the best like stare down in the game. It's so tough. But with these new additions to the night, we'll be unfortunately sitting here for long periods of time with our mask on, as more and more threats require it. What's good?
Where's Chica? I want her to walk in here. Oh, and all right, yeah. There's so much going on. There's so much going on!
Which means less camera use, which then means that the puppet and Toy Freddy are just that much more important to deal with. Because if not, well, the rest of the animatronics might not even give you a chance to do so.
Okay, well, that answers that question.
And I'm most definitely gonna talk about this more tomorrow night. But as for right now, I think we kinda get the gist for how this gameplay loop works. And with this knowledge, we can easily breeze through night 3. So with that, let's just hop right into the next cutscene. So now, still in the Freddy animatronic suit, we're dropped into a completely different room. And after looking around for a little, we can actually see that this is the parts and service room. Now, what's cool about this, in my opinion, is that we can actually see the glowing green breaker box here, which is actually one of the breakers that Toy Freddy can end up at when he's trying to shut off the power. And yeah, I don't really know why I thought it was like that cool, but I just like looking at the little things, okay? After a little bit of waiting, the puppet finally decides to show itself again, this time reaching his hand out to us. But before we can come to any conclusions, the cutscene ends on a dime, which unfortunately means we have to go back to doing our job. So let's move on. Okay, making our way over to the office again, let's start another long night. And fortunately for us, we've basically already spoke about all the hard animatronics. Hard in quotation marks, by the way. But on this night, we do have 2 more animatronics to deal with though. Firstly, we'll talk about Balloon Boy. Throughout the night, Balloon Boy will make his way over to the office, and he can actually enter either of the 2 vents. When he crawls through the vent, he'll peek in at us, and to get him to go away, we just have to shine our light on him. Then he'll run away through the hallway. If we don't do this though, Balloon Boy will post up in the office, making us unable to use our flashlight, which of course enables that boy Foxy to be a menace, because we then won't be able to use our flashlight on him to make him go away. But if we're paying attention, Balloon Boy shouldn't even be a problem for us. Anyway, next up we have Withered Freddy, who was hella annoying in this game. Now, Freddy functions identical to the other Withered animatronics, but for some reason, bro wants to perform and put on these antics for us, so he takes forever to leave the office. Now, remember last night when I was specifically talking about the importance of the puppet and Toy Freddy? Well, if we don't take care of either of them, and Withered Freddy rolls up in the office with his dramatics, you might as well just have to kiss that power goodbye. At least with the puppet, when it fully winds down, we still have the chance to save ourselves. But Toy Freddy is probably always gonna take that power away. But it's not like that's the end of the world or anything, so it's not too big of a deal.
Oh my goodness.
And with that, we've finally finished covering all 10 animatronics in this game. And this is pretty much as rough as it gets for real. And after a long, hard-fought fight, we're finally able to beat Night 4. So let's move on. Alright, so just like all the rest of the night so far, we do have yet another cutscene. This time though, it's pretty similar to the very first cutscene we had on night 1. But instead of being in the FNAF 1 pizzeria, we're instead in the FNAF 2 location. We know this because in the background, we can see the carousel ride, which is only in the FNAF 2 location. But anyway, we still have Bonnie and Chica besides us. They literally look soulless here. Like, why y'all looking at me like I did something to y'all? The puppet doesn't even show up this time around. So this was just the entire cutscene. So whatever, let's just move on to the final night. Well, the week is finally coming to an end, but we do have one last night to finish first. And let me tell you, this night was rough. I died so many times, and while I would say most of my deaths could have been prevented, Withered Freddy seemed to have a mind of his own. After dying in this game, we'll be put into this game over screen where the game gives us tips to help us prevent more deaths in the future. So with that in mind, here's what the game gives us for Withered Freddy. Put your mask on when Freddy enters the office. Keep it on until he leaves. He takes longer to leave than others. And I explained this when I talked about him being all dramatic and whatnot. So with that being said, take a look at this death.
Okay, and I did wind? Also, I just did the breaker. Why is my power not back on? It's probably fine. Ah! Why?
I know y'all clearly see the Freddy mask on my head. So why did he kill me? Well, while writing this script, I decided to analyze some of my footage because it's not like this just happened to me one time, right? And I think I got it. So if Toy Freddy gets to one of the breakers before we get a chance to deal with him, he'll turn off the power, right? But if we don't get the chance to turn the power back on in time and Toy Freddy laughs again,
I could win this.
For some reason, Withered Freddy will just kill us. Now, I can't help but think that this was supposed to be maybe a Toy Freddy jump scare, because maybe then this would be like 10 times less confusing.
Like, this is just how it goes.
It also doesn't help that the game over screen doesn't give you any mention of this at all, and you kind of just gotta thug it out. But whatever. Aside from all that stupidness and confusion, there is one extra threat added to this night. Actually, it's less of a threat and more of a nuisance. On the cameras, there are a bunch of Shadow Bonnie sprites that'll start to appear. And to get rid of them, all we have to do is click on them, which seems super easy until like 500 of them starts to build up on the music box button, making us unable to use it until we get rid of them. I mean, all things considered, this is of course the easiest threat to deal with in this game. And after a decent amount of attempts of just praying Withered Freddy didn't just murk me, we eventually reached the end of night 5. And the end of FNAF Rewritten 87. Because after beating this night, we get thrown straight back into the main menu. But hold up though, after scrolling through the night select screen, we could actually find that there's a whole nother night named the Epilogue. But unfortunately, it's locked right now. And to unlock this night, we apparently have to beat all the secret minigames. Wait, secret minigames? Yeah, so every night from night 2 onward has a secret hidden in it that we have to find before actually starting the night. Well, our job is never done, right? So let's double back into all of these nights to find these secrets. Here we are back in night 2, and if we head towards the office as usual, we'll actually walk past a whole bunch of dead arcade machines, with the exception of one. It's bright, it's glowing, it's playing music. I'm genuinely so confused how I missed this on my first playthrough. This minigame is called Pop 'em. And in this minigame, essentially, we have to drive around in this blue car, popping every balloon in sight, which seems simple enough. But eventually, we had entered this room that had this mysterious glitchy wall. And I know your FNAF senses are tingling with this one. After going through this glitchy wall, we get teleported to a completely different area. The music changes, and our car is even purple now. And after driving through the rooms, we'll eventually make it to this one room where we could see the pizzeria alongside a lonely child sitting outside of it. When we get close enough, we'll actually get out the car to reveal that we are playing as the purple guy. And if we get too close to the child, well, whoa. What are you trying to do? If you look further, I will stop you. Oh, you seen those Bonnie sprites just now? Apparently, those are all coming from the puppet. But it looks like we might have to look even further into this despite the puppet's warning. And yeah, then we get booted out the minigame like nothing just happened. So looks like we got a lot more digging to do. So let's move on to the next night. On night 3, there's now a new arcade machine active. This one is named Sky High. This game is a simple platformer where we have to collect these balloons and bring them down to this prize counter. After collecting a couple balloons, we have to go to the top of the map where the last balloon is. But look closely because you might notice that the entire top of the screen is glitching out in the same way that that one wall was in the last minigame. And if we jump up here, again, everything will change. The background grays out and our light Bonnie character turns into the golden spring Bonnie. And here we have to complete the exact same minigame as before, but instead of collecting balloons and being happy, we're now collecting, children? But the puppet did warn us, threatening to stop us if we kept digging deeper. So as we collect more children, the puppet will start to throw these shadow Bonnie sprites around to get in our way. If we happen to hit any of these sprites, our screen will black out for a little bit and our Bonnie will fall through every single platform. Also, peep this stupid soft lock. I'm suspended! I can't even back out the minigame too. What is this? Anyway, the more children we collect, the more Bonnie sprites will appear in our way. After getting 4 out of the 5 children, the puppet will drop this beast of a shadow Bonnie on us. This one literally chases us around and tries to sabotage us every single chance it gets. The last child is all the way at the top of the map, but with this thing making me fall every 3 seconds, this was actually kind of hard. And after a lot of pure failure, we finally grabbed hold of the child and completed the minigame. So let's continue our arcade machine marathon and head over to the next night's minigame. Alright, so now we have our next minigame called Hide and Seek. In this minigame, we need to walk around finding all of these happy children. Now, each level has 5 different children hidden in them that we have to find. And note that these are all regular normal kids, not the creepy soulless children that we've seen in the last 2 minigames. But after collecting all 5, we'll be thrown into another round where we have to do the same thing all over again. In this game, there's 20 rounds in total, so we'll be here for a little bit. As we make our way through the rounds though, these little Bonnie sprites will slowly start to creep up again to grief us, basically doing the exact same thing they did in the last minigame. After reaching 5 rounds though, our old friend Shadow Bonnie shows up in this game on the same bullshit as before, just ruining everything. On round 6 though, we'll see one of those soulless children again, and when collecting them, we get moved into this dark room. In this room, we can see the heads of all the animatronics here, but if we actually walked around the room, we could see the literal heads of all the animatronics in this super creepy image, followed by the words, "You can't." Then again, we get booted out the minigame as if we didn't literally just get scarred for life. But anyway, let's move on to the final minigame. Okay, so now on night 5, we have our last minigame named The Gift Giver. And this game is a simple dropper minigame where we have to avoid the balloons and give these gifts to the children below. As we drop more gifts on the children, some extra ones will start to appear, crying. And after dropping gifts to all the crying children below, the whole minigame stops. The background changes to an image of the puppet, and now we have to drop down on the children again. This time though, we'll be giving them life, and instead we'll be dropping animatronic heads on them. After doing this, then the puppet itself intervenes and starts speaking to us directly. Now, us completing these minigames, despite its obvious attempts to stop us with the Bonnie sprites, makes the puppet really angry. And now it's threatening to kill us for uncovering the secrets of Freddy's. But with that, we can finally begin the epilogue for this game. Retrieve the Freddy doll from Kids Cove. Okay, we finally have a different task on our hands that isn't walk into the office and start the night. But this time around, the pizzeria is actually live. Like, all the animatronics are doing a little performance and staring at us for some reason. Also, does anyone know where Toy Freddy's at? Anyway, let's make our way over to the Kids Cove. When actually entering this room, all the lights conveniently shut off. And we have to grab this Freddy doll that's unfortunately stuck in Mangle's mouth. And after playing a little bit of hide and seek with Mangle, they graciously decide to drop the toy down right in front of us to grab. And...
Was that the bite of 87?
That's legit the bite of 87. And after becoming a literal victim, we get taken into this new scene. Here, we get fished up by what looks like is Old Man Consequences. He starts to explain to us how the afterlife works and moving on and all that special stuff. But knowing that we have unfinished business in Freddy's, he says, "You are allowed to move on, but I have a feeling you don't want to." And after this, just like magic, we get popped back into existence, and now we're outside of the pizzeria. But because of the tragedy that literally just happened, the place is closed down, meaning that for us to get in, we now have to sneak our way back into the building to finish uncovering the mystery of this place. Now it's dark again, like we're used to seeing at this point, and I may or may not have found Toy Freddy. What is he doing in here? Anyway, guess what? We have one final arcade machine that turns on this night. This one is called Catching Cupcakes. And as soon as we enter the minigame, we get flashed with a bunch of ones and zeros. This is of course binary. And y'all know my nosy had to find out what it said. So it says, "Finish what I started, move fast." Now, on the surface, this is the exact same minigame as the Bonnie one, but instead of Bonnie, it's Chica this time, and instead of collecting balloons, we're collecting cupcakes. So let's get to collecting these cupcakes. After finishing this though, at the top, we'll finally find our glitchy spot. And when going through here, we get teleported to a whole different map layout that we now have to explore. But as we already know, the puppet is our top op, and would do anything to try to stop us from finding the truth. So in here with us is the same glitchy Shadow Bonnie that'll chase us around here too. And if it touches us, we'll get teleported all the way back to the other map, where we'll have to climb all the way back to the glitchy spot and do it all over again. After a little bit of running around, we'll eventually come across these same game sprites from all the other mini games we've played up to this point. And if we touch any of them, it'll move us to that respective mini game, where we then have to do all the secrets that we did again. Firstly, we have the purple guy card, where we can see the purple guy doing his little thing. And as we go through each of these mini games again, the puppet will have some choice words for us. Why are you back? Next, we have to go through the Bonnie minigame, and again, we get to see Spring Bonnie collecting all 5 children. Do you not remember what happened the last time we met? Next up, we have the Find and Seek minigame, where we again get teleported to the same creepy "you can't" room again. I don't hate you. And finally, we have the Give Gifts minigame. And after giving all the gifts again, we get our final message. But you need to stay out of my way. Now, after the puppet is done threatening us for the last time, an exit door will finally appear on the map. And with that, we're finally done with all these mini games. So now we can head to the office and start the final night. Hold up. Where did Candy Cadet come from? And why is he blocking our path to the office? Anyway, I guess he has a free story for us, so let's hear him out.
Happy. We all happy. Do not try to take them away. Joni tried. You do not want to be like Joni. Right, Michael? If you answer that phone, if you listen to Joni, I will have to stop you. I know there is good in you.
I don't like this noise. That scared the hell out of me.
Alright, so look, Jeremy is the person we were playing as before we got put in a body bag by Mangle. And all the mini games we had played before this night was all Jeremy's doing. He was slowly uncovering the mystery of Freddy's and noted everything down in his logbook. After the bite of 87 happened, Michael had pulled up in his place to quote, "finish what he started." This is the puppet talking directly to us through Candy Cadet. Michael is trying to free the souls of the children that were killed by the purple guy. But since the puppet is the one that gave these souls lives in the form of the Wither animatronics, us trying to set them free seems like a bad thing in the puppet's eyes, because it thinks they're all happy and that we are just trying to take all that away. But forget all that, we have a job to finish, so let's get it. Welcome to night 6. Now I'm about to get to geeking, cause look, I think this game was made for literal nerds like us. Chica on this night finally loses her beak and her eyes like she does in the OG FNAF 2. This was actually so tough, but it's not just Chica that gets a change. All of the toy animatronics' eyes are completely lifeless on this night. Like, it's really the little things that bring this night together for me. There are also an ungodly amount amount of hallucinations on this night. Like, the puppet is actually working overtime to try to get us killed. And here's my favorite part. Remember that annoying Shadow Bonnie character that the puppet sent at us during the minigames? Well, bro is just a part of the main game now. Shadow Bonnie can appear on any of the cameras. And if we stare at bro for too long, he'll actually jump scare us.
Oh! Alright.
Luckily for us though, this jump scare doesn't kill us, but it will stun us for a couple seconds, which is no bueno. But after a truly long and hard-fought night, we can finally say that we've beat night 6, and we end up with this little interaction.
Whoa. Okay, chill with all that. Chill. Hello, Chica. Hey! Oh my goodness! Running. Oh wow, they're both chasing me. Bad looks. Bad looks. Bad looks. Bad looks. Oosh. Close that shit on them. Now it's Foxy. It had to be Foxy. Close it. Close it. Close it. Close it. Puppet! Puppet, no! Oh my goodness. Back to the office, I guess. Nope, don't go that way. Go! The exit, now! Ooh! Stop playing with me!
I low-key had to let my raw reaction speak for itself. Like, I literally couldn't even voice over that section if I tried. But like, yo, I told y'all this free roam section will come in useful at some point, didn't I? But anyway, with that, we've officially completed everything in FNAF Rewritten 87. Bro, I thought this would be a simple FNAF 2 game with just like better graphics, but they had the whole shebang going on in this game. But before we wrap this game up, if y'all care enough, there's one little extra secret that I wanted to talk about, but I wanted to save it till after we completed everything in this game, cause then it would make much more sense. On night 1, if y'all remember, Candy Cadet needed some fast coins to tell us a story. So scattered around the pizzeria, there's 5 fast coins in total. There's one here on one of the party chairs, one is placed over by Balloon Boy, another is placed in front of the parts and service door, here's one on one of the tables in the employee only hallway, and finally the last one is on a table in the kitchen. So armed with all 5 fast coins in hand, let's go hear all of Candy Cadet's story.
Years and years go by. The children may be safe from the beast, but they are still trapped in the cave. Trapped with a horrible reminder of what happened. All they want to do is let go and move on. Whatever is out there has to be better than being locked in the cave forever. Maybe one day a brave guard from the village will venture out and break the powerful seal. But will they even be able to succeed if the sorceress is still there to protect them?
Yeah, that's crazy. That story is literally one huge metaphor for the entire game we just played. And this is here on the very first night of the game, mind you. Like, this is some elite foreshadowing on the devs' part. That is fire. But now, with that, I'm basically tapped out. I think I've had enough FNAF 2 to last me the next decade. But this game is actually so peak. And if you want to play it for yourself, I left the download link in the description. And while you're down there, like and sub, because I'm just like, I'm losing my mind, bruh. But with that, I think I'm finna go hibernate. So, peace.
I've been falling to